and welcome back to another Dee Dee Mitten video. Today I am going to be in the video as well as Mr. Turtle is going to be in the video, and we are going to answer some of your questions. So right here I have my laptop and I have the comments right here from my Ask Me Anything Mr. Turtle wants to answer your questions video. So we're going to get through some of those today. I don't think I'm going to get through all of them. This might be a 2 to 3 part video, but I'm going to see what I can get through. So yes, let's snap to it. So let me see here. Okay, so I have a comment from Alex the Best, and Alex the Best asks, do turtles eat at winter? Because my turtle doesn't want to eat and it's winter. Well, this was posted 3 months ago. So to answer that, in the wild, no, turtles do not usually eat in the winter, especially if they are in cold climates. They do hibernate. They'll bury themselves under the mud throughout the winter, or they will feed very slowly. They normally go into an hibernate state when it's really cold. But I'm assuming that your turtle is captive and he shouldn't really be going into a state of hibernation. So for a turtle to get into that state is usually because the temperature for that turtle is very cold, and that can be quite dangerous for a captive turtle to get into that state because they can actually starve because they've not prepared properly, because obviously they're captive. So what I would recommend for you to do is check your water's temperature. The water temperature should be between 72 to 78 degrees. If your aquarium is somewhere where it gets really cold, or the room temperature or your water temperature drops below that, then I do recommend getting a small water heater just to keep the temperature up. This is the water temperature I have on hand. I believe this is a Zoomed. Oh no, it's a Terra Fauna water heater, and I bought this from PetSmart or Petco. You can get it from any pet store. And it's really dusty because I haven't used it for a while. I do keep an eye on his temperature, and if for any reason it does get too cold, I will pop this in. But to be honest, where he's in our bedroom, his water doesn't get cold enough to use this. So it's good to have one of these on hand for an emergency. So he may need one of those. Because they are cold-blooded, they are very susceptible to their surrounding environment. So if the water's very cold, then they're going to be cold. They need an area to warm up. That way they can keep their body temperature at a normal level, and that will stop him from going into a state of hibernation. If all of your bases are covered and the water isn't too cold and you do have adequate basking, then there could be another issue with him. There might be something else wrong there. But if he is kept indoors in an aquarium, then he should be eating consistently throughout the whole year. Okay, so I hope that answered that. Let's move on to another question here. So there is a question here from Mo879. He asks, or she asks, what is the best tank size to get your baby turtle? So there's a couple of things. If you don't want to have to upgrade your tank later on, buying aquariums can get quite expensive over time. So I always do recommend buying a much larger aquarium than you're going to need off the bat. That way when they grow, you don't have to keep buying bigger aquariums to keep up with that. If your turtle is very, very small, obviously they can get away with being with a smaller aquarium, but the one thing I will just slip in here real quick, you do need the water to be deeper than the turtle is long. So if the turtle's standing completely upright, his head's up here and his tail's down here, you want the water to be deep enough to cover that. And that's only in case the turtle flips on their back and they can't get up, they can drown that way. So as long as the water's deep enough, that's something you need to watch. It is recommended that you need 10 gallons of water per inch of shell length. So if your turtle's shell is only 2 inches long, you need a 20-gallon tank. If your turtle's shell is 4 inches long, you need a 40-gallon tank. And it progresses like that. So I hope that answers that. Let me see, what else do we have here? This one's a really cute one. Joseph Lim asks, how to know whether your turtle loves you or when it is hungry? Now your turtle's going to let you know when he is hungry. My turtle is in a perpetual state of hungriness. So I just have to call him and he comes up because he wants food, let's face it. And if he's very hungry, when we wake up in the morning, he'll be splishing and splashing around in his tank, really trying to get our attention. So turtles are normally always hungry. As for knowing whether your turtle loves you or not, I personally want to believe that Mr. Turtle loves us, but realistically, I mean, I don't know if he has the capacity to really love us like we know love, but I think he knows us and he likes us. He likes it when we're around. He likes it when we're in the room. I think he enjoys our presence, and also he sees us as a source of comfort because we feed him and we look after him. So as long as you're looking after your turtle and making sure all of his needs are met, his water's nice and clean, he has a full belly, and you communicate with him and you interact with him a lot, I think that in his own way he will definitely love you back. Okay, so Novice Noob asks, can you post videos more? I promise I'm going to be posting videos more. Let me see. Is it okay to have 2 turtles? Oh, this is by Orange Cherry. Is it okay to have 2 turtles in a 20-gallon terrarium temporarily? If your turtle is aquatic, they do need to be in water to feed and to keep hydrated. By terrarium, I'm assuming you mean a tank with no water or like a small puddle of water. It depends also what you mean by temporary. If you're transporting them from one location to another, like within the day, then that should be fine, as long as it doesn't really go over 8 hours. But if it's going to be like a few days, then probably not. You're going to need to keep that turtle in some kind of aquarium where they have enough water to obviously swim around and stay hydrated and to feed. Keeping 2 turtles in such a small confined space as well, if they're larger turtles, they may fight. Adult turtles are very territorial and they need a lot of space to swim around. In fact, with red-eared sliders, sometimes you can't actually keep 2 adult turtles together. They can bite each other and fight. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you are just going to be transporting them from one location to another and then putting them back in the adequate tank. Okay, so what else do we have here? So Tahera Malik, I hope I pronounced that correctly, asked, my 2 turtles are currently 4 inches long. I was wondering if you could tell me how much of what I can feed them. Note they are extremely reluctant towards greens and other vegetables. Well, that's actually quite common for your turtle to be reluctant with veggies, especially if they have been being fed pellets and crickets and fish and all of the yummy high protein treats. Just like humans, they have a major craving for anything high in protein and high in fat, because that is their survival instinct. If they've been getting a lot of that, then yes, they're going to be a little reluctant to eat the vegetables. 1, because they're going to want the other food, and 2, they might still be quite full from the other food you're giving them. To get them to eat veggies, first off, I would withhold feeding anything else but veggies for a few days at a time. Maybe offer the turtle, I find his favourite is green leaf lettuce. He does eat red leaf, but green leaf I find to be the most successful in getting them to eat. I will just offer green leaf lettuce for 3 days in a row. If he doesn't eat or touch any of it, then feed him regularly with the pellets or crickets or whatever you're feeding him. Then try again for another 3 to 4 days. If nothing, then feed him pellets. Eventually he will start to get hungry enough and curious enough to taste and try the veggies. As for portions, a good rule of thumb with any high protein food, like with Reptimine pellets or turtle pellets for example, the portion size shouldn't be larger than the turtle's head. That doesn't include his neck, that's just the turtle's head, is about the size of the portion of pellets you should be giving them. And I recommend giving pellets every 2 to 3 days because they are very high in protein and you don't want your turtle to grow too fast or have their shell start pyramiding. So I hope that answers your question. Feeding turtles can be quite complex, but hopefully that helps you out. I do have a video on my channel that goes into more detail on what you should feed your turtle, and maybe you could check that out and hopefully that will be a bit more extensive. Michelle Nguyen, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this terribly. Michelle asks me, how do you keep your water clean? Well, I happen to have a Fluval 406 filter down there. It's a very large canister filter and it's rated for a 100-gallon tank. And right now Mr. Turtle is in a 40-gallon tank, so it is rated for way above the tank size that he has. But that thing is a beast and it keeps the water really, really clean. I do have to clean the filter out once every 6 weeks to every 2 months, depending, but that thing, it just works and it just keeps the water crystal clear. So I definitely recommend Fluval canister filters. I think any canister filter would be adequate, but the Fluval ones, it just really is a beast. So I think this is going to be my last question, just so this video doesn't run on too long. 92 Cute Pink Baby, a cute name, asks me, how do you make your turtle lose weight if a turtle is overweight? So if your turtle's flesh is overweight, and by what I mean is like if his fleshy parts are sticking out from his shell and he looks very puffy. I've actually had a situation where a house sitter did overfeed Mr. Tiddles for 3 weeks when we were gone, and he did gain a lot of weight, and this worked for him. All I did was put him on a green only diet. I gave him a very small amount of pellets just to make sure he was getting a little protein, but I literally would give him pellets, a very small portion of pellets once or twice a week, and he just ate greens the whole time, and his weight did drop. He's never gone back to being as small as he was, but he definitely lost a lot of his puffiness, especially around his shoulders. When he would put his little feet forward, there'd be a bulge in there, and especially around his back legs, he'd be bulging out of his shell, and he did lose that weight, giving him just mostly greens. And like I said, if your turtle isn't eating greens, when they get hungry enough, they eat greens. So that hopefully that will work for you. So I hope that's answered some of your questions. Obviously I have a lot more on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this video. It's probably going to be maybe I'm at 14 minutes, so after editing it's probably going to be a 10-minute video already. So what I'll do is I'll edit and post this one, and then later on in the week I will get back here and answer some more of your questions. And if anybody has anything else that you also want me to maybe get to, leave me a comment in this video as well, and I will flick through those. Maybe on the last video I'll flick through those ones as well. So I hope you and your turtles are all happy and healthy. As you can see, Mr. Turtle is doing good. And I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.